I don't think we need to do a question.
We don't.
No.
Not even a fun one? Or what would you do if?
We could do a fun one. Yeah, but I have a feeling our recap's going to be long.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay, here's one that's relevant. That's a what would you do if.
Okay, you just read it when we get to it.
Okay. And this will be episode 183, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still need to do one by myself about.
Yeah. Were you going to chat with Joe before you leave?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I was. I still haven't even asked him.
I think this will technically be 184 if you make the Clay Con West one 183.
You're right. It is 184. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet. When do you want to start?
Do you want to start 25 seconds after?
Yeah. I should have brought my water in here. No, we're not starting to stop pots.
Get your water.
I'll just fill up.
Water.
Kind of nice to have a filter right here.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there, and I don't have to worry about it. And it's cold because it's chilly outside.
Nice.
I mean, I wish I
like
had
it cold.
That's okay. Alrighty, I'm ready. Okay, so at the minute.
Yeah, that's fine. Your face is frozen for me. Hold on. Your face is frozen.
It said my speed was fast. Hold on, let me. It's probably just because of the recording.
There we go. I can see you again.
Okay. It was just because of the recording. It does that.
Maybe.
Oh,
all right.
Okay. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Okay.
We are live.
Farmers. Dun 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 dun.
I'm not a farmer.
We're live.
We are.
And just a reminder to everybody, this is a new mic for me, so I've been testing out the waters. So
yeah, Becca and I have officially the exact same mic right now.
For the first time almost ever.
We had the Blue Yeti at the same time for quite a bit, though.
Mm-hmm.
They were the exact same mic. I think that's a pretty long time, actually.
Until mine crapped out because I kept putting it in my bag with the cords stuck in it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I unplugged all the cords, but you never know.
Something happened.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. Happy to be back home. We just got back from ClayCon West. Where are you at right now?
I'm in St. George, Utah.
Yeah, so you're still hanging around.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I know Joe. I know he'll let me chill out at his studio. And so I've been making stuff. And it's been good.
What have you been making?
I have been making, this is exciting. I have been making shitty cups, not shitty cups. I've been making the fancy cups, but I've been making them in different clays. So I made a batch in obsidian, which will turn out completely black. And everybody's like, that doesn't fire well, but I have a plan and it'll be fine.
Is that an Aardvark obsidian? Is that the brand or?
I think it's actually, it's Aardvark. Yeah, it's Aardvark. And it's cone 5, but it's like a low cone 5 situation. Okay. I made some out of calico. Have you ever used calico?
No, I've never even heard of it. Is that an Aardvark clay as well?
No, it's Laguna. So it's a calico Laguna, I believe. And it's like a gray speckly. And I'm really excited about it. It's super gritty. So
gray speckly. So the base color is gray?
Yeah. Which is what I've been looking for this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not even totally sure. I we don't know yet. Like we don't know because like the only samples that I found are in like a mix of colors, like a swirl, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a total surprise. So I'm I did some of those today. My hands are dry as shit because of it. I did those today and I'm excited to sand those down because it's a really gritty clay. So it'll be interesting to have them be all smooth. And and then I think
Are there extra bits that you risk like that'll come out because it's
I
gritty?
think so. Yeah, I
So
think
it's
so.
not going to be completely soft and smooth on the surface?
It'll be soft and smooth, I think, but what I think will happen is there'll be gouges out of it, you know, just a little
Yeah.
bit. So, which I'm fine with. I'm excited to like try that clay, and then I'm gonna use just my regular old speckly. I'm gonna use B mix with speckles instead of Dark Star, but it's the same. And
Okay.
yeah,
B mix from Laguna.
yeah. Now here's a question: do you think that it would look good? The little tiny fancy cups. Do you think they would look good without speckles or with speckles better? Because they have the color all over.
Yeah. Trying to think of what they look like with speckles. I think they look good without. It just adds another level, another like layer of interest to it, right?
Yeah.
Because the speckles are not super like like a pattern necessarily. They're kind of
Yeah.
sparse. They're scattered. So
Yeah.
I think it just adds a little of interest of like, oh, that's cool, because it contrasts the dots that you put on there as something different.
Yeah.
But maybe it would draw more attention to the gradient and the dots that you put on there. So if it's just a solid white or no
Well, I was
speckles.
just thinking the small ones. I don't think I'm gonna make any big ones in the speckled bee mix because I
Yeah,
sold out.
you had a lot of small ones. So
I sold out of the small ones, so yeah.
hmm
So I gotta replenish on that.
yeah, you sold a
Um,
lot.
I did. Yeah.
Sweet. So you're gonna have three different clay bodies that you were trying.
Yeah, I mean, including the speckly, but yeah, three different clays. So that'll add like an element of funness, you know, to it. Um,
Yeah, that'll be interesting because you'll have to play around with the underglazes and colors and how they interact with the clay and whether they get, you know, if they're more subtle or if they pop more or, what
right.
looks good with what or interacts well with which clay.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the girls was like, "You're gonna throw an entire bag of obsidian and you've never used it?" and, and I mean, I have, but it's been years. And I was like, "Yeah, I am." and she's like, "That's crazy. Like, what if it doesn't turn out?" I was like, "Then it doesn't turn out." Like, and
I mean, you're
she,
kind of like, hey, I don't have I don't have the time to be here
testing, yeah,
testing a whole bunch of it and then trying it, taking a box with me. If it does work out, then making a bunch here in a week and a half or whatever. You're like, this is the time I have to dedicate, so I got to do this now.
right. Like, this is it. This is it.
Right.
so, yeah. But
Nice.
how are you doing? What have you been doing this week after you've been back?
So I was doing a lot of to-do lists while I was gone. I got some things done while I was gone, and then I'm like, I got my list, and I'm like, okay, I can do a few of these things because they're on the computer, but I'm just way more optimized to work from home when I've got focus on it and there's not other distractions.
Yep.
So I've been, chipping away at that. It's been a lot of getting pieces out of the kiln that Erica sanded while I was gone, and I'm delivering one, two, I think three or four like commissions, and then
Oh,
there's two
nice.
two gallery deliveries. So everything kind of came together at one time of when pieces came out of the kiln and sent off invoices and got people to come pick it up. They're all local people, so.
Yeah.
And then I got an order that went to a coffee shop today that was a wholesale order, and then another one going to a gallery in the next day or two. So it's been a lot of that. this week and trying to. I did a little throwing tonight, so I was getting back into throwing some mugs, and I handled some things yesterday. I'm kind of easing back into it. I'd like to get. I'm gonna have quite a bit of time on Saturday, and I think tomorrow night as well to throw for more
Mm-hmm.
than like 2 hours at a time. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
that'll be good.
Yeah, I've been getting
Did
kind of
we say that
invigorated of what I want to make. So we'll see.
it's always fun to like come back from a like when we were just at ClickCon West, and it's always fun to come back from a conference and be like excited and like ready to work, you know?
Right. Yeah, I always get that, and I don't think it's necessarily. I feel guilty for like vacationing or getting away from the studio for a few
Yeah.
days. I think it's more I want to get things off the to-do list done so that I can free myself up for more studio time
Yeah.
and like get caught up, and I don't feel like it was wasted time or anything like that. It's just I'm looking forward to the alone time in the studio.
Oh my god, it was so chaotic.
Yeah.
So 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 Ryan and I were just at ClickCon West with Rachel, his wife, and we are all introverted, and
By the
we
way,
are
you
all.
were hanging out with people. I don't think you're as introverted as you seem. I don't know. Maybe it's just because
Oh
you got
no,
more stories to tell, but
no, I had to take like a whole 2 days off after this. Like
you
it
were
hit
like
me.
on. You were on for like 4 days straight.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm not introverted, Ryan. That
I
just
know.
means
I'm
that
not
I'm
saying it's
very
not.
good.
Very
I'm
good at
very
faking
good at
it.
I'm very good at faking it. But we were very overstimulated. We were in a house that was like 16 people or 12 or something like that. And
I think
everybody
there
in the
was
house was
there was like
wonderful.
12 to 14 that actually stayed there,
Stayed
and
there
then there was a bunch of people that came in and out.
in and out. And so we were kind of like the party house. And like the last night I was like, "Can we please just use our inside voices, please?"
I don't think they heard you because you were using your inside voice.
I know. Inside voice. But it was fine. I think my voice has permanently changed because of Lake on West. Seriously.
Well, I mean, we both were like, do I have a sore throat? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Am I getting sick? No, it's just like the dry weather is killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting because it's obviously you're with other pottery people, so you can kind of relate and bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
And there's no the thing that I liked about the structure of it is you and I presented the first day. So we got there Thursday and then we presented Friday. So our job was like done
Done.
after
It
the
was
first day.
great.
And we,
Yeah.
set all our pottery out, got that set up. We didn't have to do anything major. We didn't have to make anything to prep for the talk. We just talked.
Yeah.
You all will have heard that probably last week because by the time this releases, it would have already been out for a week. So you'll get to hear what we talked about selling at art shows. And, you know, in total, you and I have probably talked about selling at art shows for like 20 to 25 hours just on here.
I know.
So people have heard us. If they listen to the podcast, they probably got a lot of the same.
Right. Yeah. If you listen to it, you're probably like, oh, sweet Jesus, I don't need to listen again.
But it's a good like refresher too. And I think,
Hmm.
people being able to ask questions can kind of tease out some things that maybe we haven't talked about. Like somebody asked about why are you so good at selling and what do you do to like make it
Yeah.
work? So I kind of did a little kind of use case thought experiment with that and went through some of the tactics I go through and like discussion points that I
Yeah.
hit on talking with customers. So I think that was valuable that we haven't talked about before. Maybe we have a little bit, but
Yeah. But maybe not as focused, like when we're on here and we're talking about certain things, sometimes we tend to like jump around because of me. Uh, but uh, but we were very focused because Ryan led the discussion and he had notes.
yeah,
So
I had very high level slides that I made up the night before.
that had 2 words on them.
Yeah, about us. All right, we're gonna talk here for about 5 minutes, and
About
then we're gonna
us.
go to the next slide that says finding shows, and like we go from there. So
Yeah.
so don't feel like you
Yeah.
missed a lot of visuals by not being there.
You
I
did
think
not.
that the discussion was 95% of it, maybe 90% of it.
The only visual that we didn't really explain, I suppose, was when my booth completely crashed.
Yeah.
We kind of explained it. You should be able to figure it out, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about it pretty well. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was a good experience. I got to meet a lot of people that you see on Instagram, and you get to actually talk about their process in person. I picked up some good takeaways from Delvin for sure. Delvin Good Art, D Good Art
Yeah.
on Instagram, because he uses speedball underglazes, and he was talking about the way that he applies them. He sprays them, so he needs them to be very fluid and works well with his spray gun. So I learned some tactics of how he gets that to the right consistency, and it's a lot of making sure you have Darvan 7 in there or some kind of Darvan in there to
Yeah.
get it nice and fluid, and then some water, so you're watering down the pigment of the underglaze, and then you're also adding Darvan to really make it fluid and liquid to go through the spray gun. So I'm going to use some of those Darvan techniques for mine. I usually just apply mine right out of the bottle, so I don't really play around too
Yeah.
much. But there's certain colors that are finicky, and I just avoid them. But I'm gonna try some Darvan and see if that helps make them apply better and then come out of the kiln smoother, and not, because I do feel like some of them are just too thick, and that's part of the reason that it interacts bad with some the clear glaze.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to see if that technique helps. And then just, yeah, you can just talk at length about things that you don't feel like you're necessarily taking time away from them if you're talking to them on Instagram. Or some things
Yeah.
like, I don't want to send people long ass messages, because I don't like reading long ass messages that I have to really think about and reply to in the moment.
Yeah.
So, and then just seeing some of the process of what people go through making their stuff, like Carol Long making these humongous pieces, is ridiculous.
Her stuff
Um,
is crazy.
Yeah, the detail. I missed the slip application, slip decoration that she was doing, but um, just the size of the pots and the intricacies of how she's like putting these huge handles on there, and then April doing her demo was great. April Adewall.
Yeah. That was by far my favorite, I would say.
Yeah, and if anybody's thinking about the conference, I mean, I feel like we talked about it before. It's a smaller conference. I think there was about a little over 200 attendees there.
Mhm.
And then I heard on another podcast recently that NCCA is more like 5,000.
Yeah.
So it's one of those smaller regional conferences
And
in
they're
St.
like,
George.
we don't want to make it too big, but we don't want to make it too small, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, like they're not going to turn away attendees and say, "Hey, we're going to cap it at 250 and that's it." Like
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have more. It's just the location makes it less likely for people to travel very far, and then how big is their audience of clay makers in the Utah area and
Yeah.
surrounding. So, but the content of it is different because you're actually seeing techniques, and it can get, for like beginner people that don't have a lot of experience in some of the techniques, like using slip to decorate, or,
Right.
one of them was talking about making pinch pots, and she's a high school teacher, I think. And it was, some little things that you can do differently to make the pinch pot a little bit better.
Yeah.
So it's some of those back to basics things as well as super technical parts. And I think we were the only
Yeah.
one that was just strictly discussion, where it was
Mhm.
talking more about art and business and selling at shows. So, there's some variation there, and then they're always open to getting new people presenting, and they announced the people for next year. Do you remember who was there for next year? I remember two of
Uh
them.
Danny Meisiger, Christina. I don't remember her last name.
I can't remember how to say her last name. She
And
did
what's
one of the
that?
mini presentations.
CJ?
CJ Newhouse.
Yeah.
Newhouse.
New house, new house, new house, new house, new house.
Yeah, I think it was Christina something with an O. Christina Orthwine.
Yeah,
Christina Sculpture. She does ridiculous sculptures.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's so nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she makes these like portrait, like human sculptures and stuff. She did a talk, but hers was with her decorative mugs and wheel thrown stuff. But the sculpture, I think, is what she's going to be demonstrating next year. So we got
Yeah, just
some.
like on her website, just like oh my god, they're like insane. They're insane.
Yeah, the level of detail is just crazy. It kind of looks like Annie Sloan, I think is her name, that does some of those human figures where it's the detail in the faces are just nuts.
Yeah. And she like shows on her website, she shows the process of like a rhino. She's like kind of showing the process of pieces, which is really cool. Oh
Yeah.
man, she's so talented. Yeah,
So what
crazy.
else did you take away from ClayCon?
um, you know what? This is not like something that I learned, I guess. Maybe I did learn it, but I don't know. I was talking to John um
Hamilton?
Hamilton, and I was like, I don't like conferences very much because me sitting in a room for an hour listening to somebody is close to impossible. And especially if it's something that I already know how to do, or I'm not interested in all. Like Sgraffito, not interested. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not something that I would put to practice in my own work. Not to say that it's not interesting. And I do think that people need to know those things. So like this is not a reflection on the conference, it's more a reflection on me and how I my attention span. And he was like, we're at kind of at a level where we're here to participate and to support.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't necessarily have to go into the places to still support your friends and be there. So
Yeah.
I always feel bad because I kind of like don't go into the conference part and I kind of like sit outside just because I usually start watching in the first and in within the first 10 minutes I'm out, you know. Um
Yeah.
it it takes a lot of energy for me to stay. And so I kind
Yeah,
of
and they're longer sessions too at ClayCon. They're
yeah,
at
they're an
least
hour
an
and a half.
hour for the main demos, but I want to say an hour and a half is the
Yeah.
minimum length of time.
Yeah, and so it's always been really hard for me, and I've always kind of felt like, "Ugh, I should stay inside." And then I go in and then I work on something else, and so in this year I kind of just stayed out, and I still felt like I was still supporting, and I kind of had that conversation with him, and like I didn't feel bad, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think part of it, a different way to look at it, even if you're experiencing, you're like, I don't need to know how to make a pinch bowl. It's like you can get something out of it, whether it's I learned something about the way Raquel makes her work.
Oh,
Maybe
for sure.
or I learned how uh, Melinda teaches. I learned how she teaches the
Yeah.
way and the way she talks so that she's explaining in a certain way so that you can understand like maybe there's a different way I can teach pulling from the way they do it. Or, obviously you're not needing to know how to do a pinch bowl, but you
Yeah.
can just parse through and maybe there's little tidbits that you can get out, but you have to sit there and be focused or dedicated to what you're watching to get those tidbits and be willing to
Yeah.
go through the parts you're not going to get value of to get the little tidbits.
Yeah, and I think that part is the hardest part for me because I want to, you know. I want to,
Right.
but especially this weekend we're so overstimulated that I feel like I would fall asleep.
But isn't that less stimulating to be sitting in a room listening to somebody than being outside in the hall talking to a group of 6 people at a table?
uh,
Because you have to be invested in the table of 6 people, somewhat more invested than watching somebody talking on the stage.
most of the time I was by myself doing art, doing work on my computer.
Oh,
There was
okay.
like four
I mean,
times that I was with a group of six, but I avoided most of the groups of six.
okay. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a couple of times that you were at tables or groups of, 4 to 6 people or whatever.
Yeah, like I chose my table and then people showed up at my table.
Yeah. So you would have had to go elsewhere to get time away.
Yeah. And I mean, like, pockets are good. It's just the focused. It's like the being focused on one person. That part's really hard for me. And then that's why school is really hard for me. Like, that's just the way it works. That's why
Yeah, I
art
mean,
history was my hardest subject to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't have fidget stones while you were in art history
No.
back in the day, where
No.
you could have something to preoccupy your time and look at
Yeah.
the dots on the stone and also
Yeah.
listen and go
Yeah,
in and
for
out
sure.
of those situations of listening and
Yeah.
getting distracted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I felt like it was. I think you gotta, especially if you're going there and you don't know anybody, you kind of gotta find a couple people that
you do.
you can pair up with, even if you just meet up with them and you
Yeah.
just meet them. Like maybe they can be your little buddy or something for
Yeah.
the weekend
Defi-
if you can.
Definitely need conference buddies.
Yeah, because otherwise it feels kind of isolating and you're just kind of going through the motions and you're listening to the talks and you're not really discussing elsewhere and you're just going to the next thing and where are you going to go eat lunch or
Yeah.
who are you going to talk to, and it gets even though you're in a big group it feels lonely if you don't know anybody.
Mhm.
And I'm sure plenty of
For
people
sure.
feel that when they go to Nsika for sure, because it's such big groups that it feels like everybody knows somebody.
Mhm.
Because I think my first time when I went to Pittsburgh, it was definitely like that. I was still growing in my own work, so it wasn't to a point where a lot of people knew me. So it was a lot of walking around to the vendor tables and
Yeah.
seeing the different tools. You maybe buy some tools, you maybe test out some things at Diamond Core and you carve things, or you go to the clay ones and watch people demo and you talk with the artist demoing because they're stationed there. They're kind
They
of like
can't
penned
run
in
away
there.
from
They
you.
can't leave you if you're talking to them. So
Yeah.
so you kind of talk to them and hopefully not be annoying, but also be, ask them about their work. People like to talk about
Yeah.
themselves. So if you talk to them and you get some value out of it as well as finding out about them and their work, then hopefully you're not a pest in that aspect.
Yeah.
But
For
um
sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll see how Nsika goes. There's gonna be a lot more people. It's gonna be a lot more hustle bustle. It's gonna be nuts, I presume. So
Yeah. I remember my first ClayCon West, or not ClayCon West, my first NCCA. You were there, but you were demoing with Dirty
Ken-
Girls.
Kentucky Mudworks, Dirty Girls,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
I only
so
demoed
you were
one day
like,
though.
you did only demo one day, but regardless, and I didn't know you that well at that point, you know?
What?
I did. I did,
You
definitely
didn't
did.
know me that
We
well, like in person.
in person, yeah. We did like hang out a lot still, but I latched on to Joe, who owns the Tilted Kiln here, and was like, "You are my bodyguard. I'm hanging out with you. I'm following you." And then when he was unavailable, I switched to Tim C. And
The thing is, Tim C knows a lot of people, so I'm sure there's a lot of people flocking to Tim, and then he's bodyguarding you, but he's just taking all of the attention, and you're
so
just
here's
like,
what happened. Here's what happened. I can't remember if I was at Tim C or Joe's situation. I don't remember which one I was with, but it was a bunch of the Clay Buddies people, and they were like, "Let's go out to dinner," and I was like, "Okay." So we go out to dinner, and they choose the smallest place on the planet, There's like 20 people. They're all like packed into this restaurant, and I am so uncomfortable that I can barely move. And I was just like, I think it was Tim. I told Tim, I was like, you know what? I'll see you later. It was, I know, remember, it was after the, the shot glass swap.
Mm-hmm.
It was after that they went to a restaurant, and I was like, you know what? I have to leave. And so I just fucking left.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I was like, I can't do this. And so I left. And then I probably met up with you.
Yeah. We did the cidery, I think, maybe.
Hmm. And I also was in a house that I didn't know anybody but one person. And I was sleeping on the couch. And they stayed up until 3 a.m. every single day.
That sounds familiar.
Yep. So
But the thing is
learn from
here,
our mistakes.
Claycon West though, you could go to your van though. You didn't have to stay in, you know.
It was great. I could go to my van, and I did go to my van when I needed
And you
when
had
I
the
needed.
I mean you had the cats too, so you kind of had to
Yeah.
let them out or get some stuff together. So, yeah, I mean people understand. They don't feel like you have to.
And I think that
Oh,
honestly,
where's
collectively,
so and so? Where's so and so? Like you
hmm
don't have to be missed in a group of 10 plus people, you know?
right. And the people, and I think everybody in our house was so understanding. I feel like it was a group of introverts that had to turn on for the weekend.
Yeah.
They were like, I get it. I think by the end of it, everybody was so happy that it was fun, but was happy to go home.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because every time you're at home you're by yourself, right? And you've got time to choose how much you communicate. You choose when to go in your phone and communicate with people. When you're at the conference, you're like, I'm only here for X number of days. So if I choose to go back to my room and just get on my phone or get out of the madness, then I'm missing opportunities to converse with people and maybe learn
Right.
something or share things where you don't have time together in person any other time. So you
Yeah.
only have so many opportunities to talk with, especially in a group of 10 or 15 people. Like, how many
Yeah.
minutes are you going to get with each of those people?
Right.
Probably like 15. Some people you're going to get like an hour or 2 hours
Yeah.
at a time. And, you might be able to. And that's the good thing that I liked. I liked being able to buddy up with one or two people and you can chat with them.
Yeah.
Like I chatted with
Dell
Cheryl
was
a
good
lot
about
that
that.
last
Like,
night.
yeah. I felt
And
good about like chatting with like Dell, and then he like moved to you when I had to go take a shower. So you
mhm,
guys got to chat for a little while. I heard that you did 20 push-ups. Please enlighten us.
I did 25.
Okay, can we
Oh
please
no, we
talk about
did.
how this happened?
Okay, so it was the very end of the night. We got done playing. I'm sure somebody videoed that. I'm sure Nico videoed it. Okay, so we were going to bed and I was coming down. They were doing some workout like test. I think they started at
Planks
5
or
minutes.
something?
It was like a circuit, so it was cycling through, plank, and then you go to the side plank and you keep your arm up, and then you do a one arm plank or something like that. So it was a bunch of core exercises, and they were competing. There was three of them. I think it was Dale, John, and uh, what was the girl's name that was helping Joe out at the checkout table? Marjorie.
Marjorie.
And they were doing that and seeing who could last the longest. Obviously, Dale won. I want to say he's Army Reserve. I want to say
He's
Army.
Army.
So
He's Army.
I was like, I mean, he's got this hands down. So
He's still active Army too. So yeah.
yeah, so he did that, and then they got done, and I was, kind of chatting with him, and I was like, how much do you, or I think push-ups came up, and I was like, that's nuts. How many push-ups do you do at a time normally? And he was like, normally we do them in sets of 50. And he was like, do you do them? And I was like, I do them every now and then. That's about the only thing that I like doing. And he was like, how many do you want to do? Do you want to do some now? And I was like, I can do about 20. And I was like, let's do 25. And then we did them both together. And we were pretty much right in sync. And he'd already been doing that thing right beforehand, so he was probably exhausted.
Yeah.
And then we got right to 25. I was like shaking. I was like, let's do 5 more. So I'm somebody that when I get to a point, just like in the studio, I get to a point of this is my cap. Let's do 5 more, right?
Yeah.
So then we did another 5, and my arms were freaking shivering at the very end, the last 2 or 3. But I think Nico got that on camera. Somebody recorded it, but that was fun. And then I went to bed. So
Marjorie was like, I was so surprised. He did 25. And I was I was like, he's fit. It's like he's like I was like he's a small body with a lot of surprise in him. That's how I feel about Andrew, my best friend up in Washington.
yeah,
Anytime I move with him, he like picks up 50-pound boxes and shit and he just like muscles them through. And this kid is like smaller than you.
how tall is
And
Andrew?
he's shorter than you. He's like 5'4", 5'6", somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm always so surprised. I'm like, God damn. I always want to move with him.
I mean, that's really the only thing I like is doing push-ups. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to set a goal. Well, I would like to set a goal of doing like 15 a day and just consistently just always do 15 every day.
Do you know what I used to do? Every time I went up the stairs, I'd do 5 stair push-ups.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So you would
Just
just
like,
lean at like a 45-degree angle and
mm-hmm,
do push-ups on the stairs?
do them really quick. And then every time I go down the stairs, I do 5 squats.
When you got to the base of the stairs?
No, like when I was at the top going down.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you didn't fall down.
No.
I've considered
No.
doing it. I think I've done that every now and then, but I get up and down from the chair so much
Yeah.
that it's like I just want to go do something really quick or go to the bathroom or whatever, go get tea. And I'm like, I've only got like 2 or 3 minutes to do this or whatever because I gotta.
Yeah.
But also, hey, you got time to do 10 push-ups or whatever. That's manageable.
No, just do 5.
Just do 5.
Just do 5. Like, don't
Knock
make
out
it
5
anything
real
that's
quick.
like, yeah, real quick 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then
we'll
maybe
see
on
that.
Saturdays do 10. Like when you don't have an agenda, do 10.
Sometimes I like to do it like right before bed,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Then I kind of get worked up and whatnot because my heart's racing a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I'm sure there'll be a
Yeah.
video floating out there.
Probably.
We'll find out.
So I was gonna say we are gonna talk about sales of Claycon West, but it kind of ties into our talk, so we're gonna push it to that. But
Yeah.
you know what Joe actually has like this really nice brand new L&L kiln.
He does.
Yeah,
I think I saw
and
it in there. Does he have the Genesis on it?
I can't remember. I want to say no. It's 10
Okay.
cubic feet, and they're using it just for their paint your own pottery. And I
That's
opened
why
it
it's in
up,
the
and I was
front
like,
area. Does he has those other 2 in the back, doesn't he? In the clay area.
it was in that like room, and then he's got like 6 kilns in the back outside. And
Really?
yeah,
Oh
that
my
like
gosh.
nobody saw.
Hopefully are they undercover?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Sweet.
Because it is raining right now. But I like lifted up the lid and I was like, damn. Those elements, like, hey, they look so easy so easy to like change out. I'm like, fuck.
I just fucking did that.
Did you really
Yeah, Erica helped me like 2 weeks ago.
change out your elements?
Yeah, so I changed out well, first off, getting them all out was pretty simple. But got out the bottom ones and I was like, Erica, it's your turn. Like, change this level out. The first time I did though, I stretched the element out too long and then I had to crunch it back.
Smush
Have
it
you
back.
Yeah. So luckily
I haven't
it
done
just
that.
snap right in, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Snap right in. Yeah, I that's the one thing that I wish that I had in my kilns is those little element blocks. They're
The
pretty snazzy.
element channels, Becca.
Oh, right. Channels. My
The
bad.
channels.
element channels. Are they hard to like when you get the element like through to the back where you have to connect it to the, is that easy or is it
Yeah,
harder?
it's basically like you unscrew some nuts and washers, and then you just take the wire's always like ridiculously long that comes through there on the end of the element.
Yeah.
So you just bend it and then turn it around I think it's just like a screw. You just bend it
Mhm.
around the screw. Washer, nut, other one,
Screw it on.
washer, nut, done.
Nice. Dunzo.
Yes.
Nice.
Super simple.
Super simple.
Where do you get the kilns at? Do you know?
I think you get them at hotkilns.com.
Yes, you do. Becca, is there something you want to share?
I just like to share with everybody that we officially have a sponsor.
Pew, 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 pew. Yes.
So bad and good news for you guys. Not even bad news, honestly, because we're so great at like adding things into our podcast. So you're not even gonna regret it. Um, is that
Some of you are
we
probably like, son of a bitch, you just got me.
son of a bitch, son of a bitch. We are officially sponsored by L&L. Right now, right now they are our only sponsor. It's not even a she; it's a guy that works there. Um, they're our only sponsor, and they will be our only sponsor for a while, I believe, because we told them that. But and we want to kind of like feel out the things and
Yeah, feel out the sponsorship, build out, it's a
a
back and
good
forth. It's a
relationship.
partnership between the two of us.
Yeah,
So, well, the three of us, I guess.
yeah.
And yeah, we'll see where it goes. But as you know, I got the L&L. Becca was talking about the L&L. She's seen those around.
I've
And
seen them around, and also Ryan wants to get a new L&L. He was already planning on it for Ensika.
yeah,
So it came at a glorious time.
yeah.
So,
I feel like Seek is going to come with a big price tag for me by the end of
I'm
it.
ready. I'm fucking
I'm
ready.
like, when else am I going to get a good time where I can get something that is drivable
Yeah,
and, I have no restrictions of, hey, how am I going to get this back home?
right. And also
Right
for
there.
all y'all's on the East Coast, L&L is an East Coast company. So that means that their hours of operation are East Coast time. So
Yeah, they're over in New Jersey.
yeah, which always is like a bummer when you're like on the West Coast. No,
But
if
I've
you're on the
actually
East
got,
Coast and have
I've
a scut
actually,
kiln, you can't call.
oh,
You
really?
can't call after 3 because they're gone. They're
I've
gone.
actually got some, I don't know how, but I got one of the numbers from a L&L distributor that has elements that's actually in the Pacific Northwest. So he's technically West Coast.
Oh, nice.
I
Sweet.
want to say it's Rob Beatty or something like that. And he does it takes orders for elements and relays and parts for the kilns. And he's in Oregon, I think. So
Nice. That's awesome.
all
Yeah.
over.
So great customer service, great people, family, mom and pop business. Um, well, actually, it's a pop and
Poppin'
partner
Sun.
business, pop and son business, but that's, you know, um, yeah. So we're excited and yay.
Yep.
And we know that you'll be excited for us too. Hooray!
Yeah, it'll be a good time. All right. Thanks so much. Find that L&L kilns at hotkilns.com, like Becca said.
That's going to be our ending. We're still working on it, but we're going to surprise you with the.
Yeah, you won't know when it's coming.
Yeah, I can't wait until we have guests on, and then I'm going to be like, "Have you ever seen an L&L kiln?"
They're
So
like, we were
yeah,
just talking about reclaiming clay. What the hell are you talking about?
yeah. You can reclaim kiln and clay and L&L kiln. It's all recycled. Um. Anyway,
Do you want to do a what would you do if? It's been a while since we've dipped into these, so
I think we should.
and I feel like this one's timely. It says, "What would you do if your clay froze in the studio this winter?"
Oh, I did have clay freeze in my car, and I just left it where I was.
Ooh, was that recently?
Yeah, I seriously had a block freeze solid, like straight solid. Like I could have killed somebody with it. And
Oh my gosh.
took it to Teresa and Brandon's, and I meant to put it back in my car, but I didn't. So if my clay froze solid, it depends. Are we talking like 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 25 pounds?
Let's say 500 pounds. Let's say it's in
Five.
your garage, which you don't have a garage anymore. Let's say it's in my garage and
Mm-hmm.
it's sub freezing in there, and you get
Mm-hmm.
500 pounds of freezes. What do what do you do?
Cry first.
Cry.
Cry. Um, I would be half pressed to find someone that has a pug mill around me, call them up and say, I will pay you if I can use your pug mill for 500 pounds of clay. Because I am that lazy.
Yeah. What's the main issue? And I think I heard this on a for Flux sake, I feel like recently. That
Well,
I think it's about the
you
the
tell us.
I think it's the water inside of it freezing, and
Yep.
the ice does something with the clay particles and it.
The particles don't align anymore or something like that.
Yeah, so you really need to wedge it up. I
Yeah.
would. So I don't really do a lot of wedging of my clay. When Erica preps my clay, she'll cut it off the block, make it into the ball of the certain weight and all that, and then just throw it in a bucket. So I would probably be just likely to wedge it. I would once it gets into the balls, I would wedge it maybe 10 or 15 times each ball
Yeah.
and call it a day and throw with it. Obviously, you'd want to thaw out first. I'm not off the frozen block. I would bring it back inside somewhere to let it thaw out.
Have you ever had clay freeze?
No, but I've had blocks of clay that feel like they're frozen because they're
So,
just rock solid. That's a little different issue than frozen, but
when clay unfreezes and it's now room temperature, it becomes like the soppiest, wettest, frustratingly annoying mess in the whole world. So I'm not sure that cutting it into place, like I think you'd have to like wedge it in the bag. And I think there is some way to like bag wedge it where you like drop it on
besides
the
just
floor a few times.
I mean, I would definitely drop it on the floor regardless.
And I think you have to do it like a number of times because like it's really inconsistent all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say,
What if you slam wedged it?
I think slam wedging would work.
Okay. So you have,
Yeah.
whether you use a clean concrete floor or a piece of
Yeah.
plasterboard or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
wooden tabletop or something,
Right.
cut off slices, slam it onto the tabletop, cut off another slice, slam it on top of that.
Yeah, I think that that would work. But I will say for the people that have this prospect of happening, what I have done, and this is a real redneck solution, hardcore redneck solution. But but I used to store my clay in a refrigerator outside because
Yes, you did.
if it can hold frozen things inside, it can hold frozen things outside. And so
You mean
and
you can keep things from freezing inside because it's insulated?
yeah, it holds the frozen things outside.
Oh, hold the frozen things. I was thinking of the clay as the thing.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
so I did just a stand-up fridge and I would unbox the clay and just stack it on top of each other. If it's in a mass, it's a lot less likely to freeze. You could use like a fucking chest freezer would be great. They seal, so
Mm.
and then you can stack things around it if you need that extra. This is not we're not talking about fucking Minnesota negative 25,000 degree winters. We're talking about Washington winters here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in Minnesota, good luck.
Like
But
Amy
like,
Grumman's studio out there on her property
yeah,
in that
like,
outdoor exterior shed that's heated, but probably not.
yeah, no, thank
I
you.
mean, maybe it's
Uh,
warm enough. I don't know.
but if you are in a situation where it's like almost, try and find a fridge that doesn't work. Marketplace free fridge. That'll do you well.
We've got an old wine fridge that's a little on the fritz, and I always considered, I've seen people use that for pug mills, I think.
Oh, I
Small.
used to use it for pug mills. Yeah.
Yeah, you pug out logs of clay and then you just put it into a wine cooler and just stack it up like a
Yep. Put it into the
broken
fridge.
wine cooler or whatever.
Uh, Bruning Pottery uses a chest freezer for all their pugged clays
Yeah.
because it's got a seal on it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what about like using could you use something like a Rubbermaid and insulate it a little bit on the inside and just put boxes of clay inside a Rubbermaid?
Oh, I don't think that would work.
You don't think you could keep it warm enough?
I don't know. I
Because
don't know.
I remember some people. I think it was like a way to keep outdoor cats warm enough in
Uh
the
huh.
winter, where you put, some people put like a styrofoam cooler in, and then line it with a blanket
Yeah.
outside of it, and then you put some straw around it, and you make it like a little house or whatever that's warm enough.
Yeah.
But
I think that I would be more inclined to like just put the clay on a pavement and then maybe put like one of those reflective blankets over it and then put a couple blankets on it as opposed or and maybe put the styrofoam around it as opposed to like putting it in
mhm.
something.
Yeah, I mean, elevating it off the concrete's definitely going to help for sure as well.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. I'm sure there's some
Yeah.
people going through that right now or has gone through that. So
Ooh,
luckily
can I
I,
tell you something exciting before I forget?
yeah.
I got up all of my little baskets to put my clothes in, and my car is now officially like free of junk on the floor.
Really?
Yeah,
Free of
everything's
junk.
in a place for now.
Nice.
Everything's in a
Like
place, and I
everything's
feel really
under
good
the
about it.
bed or out of the way, so it's not.
And I did have my like clothes under my bed for a while, and they're all up in these baskets. And I'm even like, I went through my sweatshirts, and I'm even getting rid of sweatshirts. So
Really?
yeah,
Nice. Do you
Josh,
have?
uh, Josh Himes' sweatshirt did stay in the collection,
Oh,
so
okay. Made the cut, huh?
made the cut.
Is that one that you're wearing staying in the collection or?
Yep, this is staying in the collection.
Okay.
This is my Pacific Northwest Cascade Mountains sweater. I
Did
love
it
this
get drips
sweatshirt.
of bleach on it or something? What is the?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Uh, the being in the collection does not mean it's in good shape. It just means that I like it the most. I also have one that says I'm just here for the showers. And I can't decide if I want to keep that or not keep it because I used to wear it to the gym when I was homeless
Yeah.
because I was just there for the showers.
Are
So,
you gonna need to use it again to be somewhere just for the showers?
well, I did go to the, I did, oh, would you like to hear a funny story?
Yes, please. I think everybody would like to
Before,
hear a funny story.
before we get into our talk, I will tell you my funny story of the week. Well, it's not really a funny story. It's more like a funny situation. So, I'm in St. George, Utah, and I looked up rec centers because I wanted to go swimming and also take a shower. And if you don't know me, I love to swim. I was
That's why you were
basically
in the
born in
pool
the
so
water.
much when we were there.
Yeah,
You're getting
I
in this
love to
pool, you were like, "Hey, it's a heated pool. It's like 80, but it's raining outside."
and it's
And she's
40
out there.
degrees.
It was kind of
um,
chilly. It wasn't the best weather this weekend.
it was chilly. Anyway, so I love swimming and but I need to take a shower and so I looked up pools, and Joe was like, "Hey, use the Washington Community Center. It's got a pool and it's great and it's nice." So I read online, you'll appreciate this. I read online that if you get there an hour before the pool closes, you can get $2 off your ticket for the twilight swim. So instead of $5 entry, it is $3. So
Wow.
yeah.
For a
So
1 hour swim, and then I'm guessing you can shower with that too?
yeah, yeah. The shower is open indefinitely, I think, until the place closes. And so I was like, yes, I would like to swim. And she was like, the leisure pool. And I was like, yes, because I don't want to be with a bunch of children in the lap pool. And um, so I get out there.
Wait, there's
I don't know.
children in the lap pool. The lap
Like,
pool sounds like, or the children should be in the leisure pool, right?
hold, please. The children were like in like swim practice. Um,
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah. And so I get out there and I'm like, don't really know what a leisure pool is to this point. I'm like,
Hmm.
is it just a pool that you like sit in? I don't know. Not the lap pool, obviously. And so I get out there and I see the big, the big construction of the water spilling everywhere that all the kids play on. And it was like 0 feet. And then it like goes down. And I was like, I asked one of the lifeguards, I was like, so does the leisure pool get like deep? And he was like, no, not really, but it's kind of deep over there. And I was like, okay. And so I like walk in, and then there was a rope and it says do not cross. And I'm like, well, can I cross? Because I'm clearly not a child. And, and so, and so I like waved at the guard and I was like, can I go under? And he was like, yeah, 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 that's fine. And so I went under. The leisure pool is 3 feet 6 inches, and
That's good enough for you to like lay on your back and like float out there.
the leisure pool is 3 feet 6 inches. There is a lazy river that is quite aggressive, and
Oh my
and
gosh, this place is crazy.
and there's a slide.
Oh my
So
gosh, did you
I did not.
partake?
I did not go down the slide. I'm not an idiot. So I
Because you
did
would have
not
been
go down.
falling into 3.5 foot water?
Probably. And anyway, so I didn't go down the slide, but I did go through the like the lazy river, and they have jets. They have these like jets, and it's like a full on struggle to like go against the current. I was like struggling to get against the current. And then there was like this
Why are
circle
you going
within.
against the current in a lazy river? You're supposed to just chill.
Well, I didn't have an inner tube, so I was just working out, I guess. And so, so there was this circle that had the jets, and so I just like got inside and just went around and around and around and around. And then I got in the middle and like was on my back and just like circled. And I got up and I was like, "Holy shit, I am so dizzy."
Oh my
And so
god.
anyway, I leisured in this pool for like 25 minutes, well, maybe like 15 minutes. And then these old people, these old guys, they weren't, they were old. Anyway, middle-aged men, um, came from the lap pool into the leisure pool and started doing laps in the leisure pool. And I was like, broski, this is the leisure pool and I am leisurely in it.
How are they
And
doing laps in a 3.5 foot pool?
it was really long.
Oh
You
my
could swim.
gosh.
It was really long. Um,
I guess
but
three
they
and a
were not,
half's not terrible, but I mean,
yeah, they were not very
geez.
leisurely. And
Hopefully, it was
so
the lap pool big enough that you could have just chilled in the corner somewhere?
yeah, but I mean the leisure pool honestly wasn't that bad, to be completely honest. Like I
Okay.
just sit on my back anyway, so it's fine. But
Yeah.
I lasted all but like I think like 30 minutes and I was like I'm out. It
Wow.
was so fucking loud in there, but
Those
yeah.
rooms never have anything soft to absorb the sound, do they? I mean, it's always echoes,
No.
right?
Yeah, they need
It's
to
like
like
you're in a
hang
big
some
glass
fucking
room or
fabric in there or
something.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lazy river went outside, Ryan. Like you could like they had it
Really?
blocked off because it's winter, but like in the summer you can go outside.
Wow. This place sounds pretty
Yeah.
nuts.
It was pretty aggressive with its
Hmm.
leisureliness.
Would you
Um
return for $3?
I would return for $3. Not
Okay.
on a Friday though.
Okay.
I don't know if I would return for $3 on a Friday or a weekend. I would return for $3 for a shower.
Okay. Did they provide the shampoo, conditioner, that kind of stuff, or did you have to bring your
I
own?
I brought my own,
Nice.
and it wasn't like the best showers. I need to get water shoes.
Yeah, they're
I
probably
came
good.
ill.
Don't you? You've got tons of sandals. You can't just go in there in sandals.
Well, I did go in there in sandals, but they were leather sandals. I'm not sure I have the appropriate like shitty water shoes that you need for those type of places.
Can't
I
you
think
just
I'm
wear
just
your
gonna.
Crocs in there?
You know what? Then I can't clean my feet. I mean, I can, but then I just put them back in the like dirty ass cracks. I think I'm just gonna go to Old Navy and get like a pair of $5 flip flops.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Becca's
that's
adding to
my.
her wardrobe. She's now got 4 pair of shoes that
I have 5 pairs of shoes. Thank you very much.
are any
Maybe
of them
6.
closed toed.
Yes.
Crocs do
Yes.
not count as closed toed.
Yes. I have 1 pair of Converse that are rose gold. Thank you very much.
Okay, you
And
do. All
I
right.
have 1 pair of Timberland boots for snow.
Oh, sweet. I need to get some. That reminds me. I need to get some hiking boots.
So yes, I do have 2 closed-toed pairs of shoes.
Nice.
Take that. Anyway, okay, let's continue. Um
That's a good. That's a good story. I like that.
okay. So, what we are talking about today, Ryan, would you like to explain since it was your idea?
Sure. So my idea was we were selling at Claycon West, and I was kind of thinking about the difference between selling work to mostly potters versus selling to the general public and the differences because Becca absolutely killed it at
I
Claycon
did.
West, and I not so much.
That's true.
But I think there's some reasons behind it. I think there's some,
Mhm.
you're a good potter to potter salesperson.
I am.
I
There's a
not so
few
much.
things. Yeah, there's
Like
a few
I
reasons.
some basic stuff. I don't know, like basic pots plus your personality. Like people know your personality way more than me.
Yeah, but I would say okay, continue.
Yeah, so that's basically it. We're gonna kind of talk about that and compare them, and you know, you don't have to do one or the other or strive for one or the other, but
No.
it did bum me out a little bit. Hey, I expected to sell more. I brought less work, and I was thinking, hey, this will be great. I'll take home just barely anything. I ended up taking
Yeah.
home more than 2/3 of what I brought. So
Yeah. That was a bummer. I wanted you to sell more. I
that's all
did.
right. That's all right.
I
You
was
also
actually
brought so many things
I brought
and a
so
lot of
many
things that
things.
other people did not have. Like there weren't many earrings
Yeah.
there, I don't think. So
And I sold mostly earrings for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
and most of the
100%.
attendees were women.
Yep.
So I feel like you were right in that sweet spot of what people were looking for.
Right. I think I was talking to Joe about your pieces and he was like we obviously your carved pieces are really cool, but I think that he was like I want some sort of an element of surprise. You know? Like something that's not so predictable within those pieces.
Right.
You know? Like a color something. Maybe the handle is a different color or it's like not glazed
Mm-hmm.
or and maybe there's like colors above each line or there's a different color inside. um
Yeah, it's kind of if people know exactly how you made the thing, they're not,
yeah.
you know, they're not surprised, especially in a room of people that make things in clay. They know exactly how you did it.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know the exact glaze or the exact underglaze name, but
Yeah.
they know how it's made.
And had you been at a had you been presenting showing a technique,
Yes,
you would have sold more.
that definitely draws some more attention for sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I always doubt, for the future. I'm like, is there a technique I could show that's unique? Because I don't think so. I mean, I think my skill is mainly making things efficiently and being able to make a good business out of it
Yeah.
and talk about it and sell it
You
to the general public more. I don't
see,
think I'm not making unique things in the realm of other potters and other ceramic artists. I don't think.
right. I think that actually you should not be bummed because you do what other people can't do, which is sell to the general public. Like some people that have really, really high end stuff, not Carol Long because we know she's a unicorn, um, has like really high end stuff, may not be able to sell to the general public, but can only sell to other potters, that are willing to pay $100 on a cup,
Yeah, the price
like
is a big factor that deters
yeah,
the average Joe that
yeah,
doesn't know anything about pottery, or they're looking for a new mug in their collection.
mm-hmm,
There has to be a reason that they buy from you, and it's partially your personality, partially if you tell them about the process of how it gets made,
yeah,
partially do you already have a lot of I would say notoriety, but a lot of people demand for your work. Maybe that factors in,
yeah,
but it's more of a one-to-one sale, I think, for the average Joe buying a
yeah.
piece from somebody.
Like I don't think that I sold a lot of the big pieces. I didn't count how many of the larger cups that I had, but there was a ton left over. Small pieces, the $50 items,
Mhm.
those sold because I think that was like in people's price range.
That's the right
But
price point. Plus, it's small enough it could travel well,
mhm.
and you had a lot of variety of color that people could choose from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did that give you some good? I mean, you were overall pleased with the sales, right?
Yeah. I
Were you
mean,
shocked by the sales? Were you ecstatic by the sales? Were you like,
I was very, very happy. And I will say that I don't I was very, very happy.
okay,
I I'm like one of those people that I have to know what's going on as we go. So like I was periodically checking
mm-hmm.
through the conference and so I was like, what? Because I expected to sell what I sold last year. I sold like $900 last year,
Yeah,
I think. And
you were probably happy with last year too, right? $900 was your cut after they took 20%.
I think it was 1,300 after. Yeah, I mean 1,300 because they get the honorarium, but yeah.
Okay.
Um, and
Do you know
so
how much you
yeah,
sold?
I do.
Do you want to
I
say
don't
how
know.
much you sold, or can
I
you
sold
not
20.
announce how much you sold?
I think I can announce how much I sold.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
just a
know.
guess at the end of the day.
It's just a guess. It's about $2,500 worth.
Holy shit, that's nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I sold like $300 worth,
yeah. I think even more 400. I think, but
maybe a little more, but yeah, you
yeah,
were checking mine too, so yeah, whew, that's
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. So I was
It, I think a big part of it is having the right items in the right audience of
yeah,
buyers. Like, in this, people are around the conference for multiple days, so I don't think the location of your booth matters as much.
Matt. No, it doesn't matter.
But you were also able to talk to people a little bit. You were kind of by your booth talking to people about your work a little bit here and there. So that might
Yeah,
have got some sales.
I know it got one for sure. Yeah, like if somebody was at my booth, I would stop and I'd be like, "Do you have any questions?" And inevitably they'd be like, "How did you get it this smooth?"
Hmm.
And so on and so forth. Um, but I was just really surprised about the earrings. I am fucking wiped out of earrings.
That's
So
great. It's a good.
I that I wasn't expecting like at all.
But you also
And
priced them in a way that
mhm,
drove people to buy the ones that were the fanciest, the most bang for their buck, because you priced them all at $30, where you would normally
yeah,
sell them between what
40.
25 and 45 or something.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, like normally the danglies that have like all the little balls on them and then the triple chains are 40 and I sold them for 30 because I had no idea how to make it work. Like,
Right, because you're not at the booth and you're not ringing things up yourself, so you have to make it somewhat
mhm,
standard so that the checkout person can understand it and not be
yeah,
thrown off guard by what's the price on this, and you don't have to price every single individual item because people are bringing a pair of earrings without a piece of paper or something attached to it. So,
right. Yeah, and it's not like you can be like the small ones are 30 and the large ones are 40. Like what's small? What's large? Like,
right.
so yeah, that was really frustrating, but and I took a hit because of it, but not really. I mean, like I didn't, but I did. Um, but um,
It gives you
yeah,
flexibility to make some new ones, which you're probably happy about making more, right? Maybe
yeah,
not in as
I'm
short of a
using that.
time, but
I use that calico clay, and I'm gonna do a lot of them with that calico. And then tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna get working on the speckled bee mix. So, uh, gotta make a lot more, but not excited to glaze them. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
was
I mean,
I didn't have a chance to talk with people as much at my table, and I don't want to linger, and I'm sure most of the
yeah.
sales happen early on when they open the doors at 8 a.m. We didn't even get there
Mhm.
till 10 or 10:30 that
Yeah.
day. Something later like that. So, we weren't in a rush to get there when people were swarming. That would have been nice to be by the tables when that was happening to talk about
Yeah.
your stuff a little bit. But yeah, I think you kind of called it out. Like, there's not anything surprising in the realm of pottery possibilities that I'm shocking people and other potters. You know, I so I can be bummed, but also realistic about it. And
I mean,
and
like, yeah, like,
that's also pushing me to say, hey, what can I change with my work a little bit to just add another layer of interest.
yeah,
And not saying I'm going to
exactly.
switch all of my work to appeal to potters.
No, but I think that it's good. And when you were talking about how you wanted to do some experimenting, I was like, I think that's great. Like just
Hmm.
adding a little bit more every year to like your process and what you're doing might be cool. Like maybe next year you have a layer that has a couple different layers of color, you know?
Hmm.
And or maybe it's got like different sides of color, or a gradient of color or something like that, that
Yeah, something
is
that's either, I typically have Erica apply all my underglaze, but maybe there's something that I could play around with. See, I'm not a painter, so I use the color as an accent to look cool
yeah.
with the glaze that I pick it with. So it could be, I find some cool glaze combos, but I also have the texture. So maybe I can find a balance of the glaze adds a level of what am I looking at as well as the texture so that the texture is kind of like a background a little bit,
Yeah.
but it plays around to give you something that's like, what am I how is this done exactly? And I
Right.
think that's
Yeah.
what draws other clay people in,
Yeah.
where there's not you're kind of like, how did that get done? And I don't.
Right. You also were at a disadvantage this time because you and Diana have very similar styles
Uh-huh. We both have this
and
graffito white with bright colors.
very straight lines, very,
Uh-huh.
and she was a main presenter. And
Right.
so clearly, and I mean, she had different styles too, like, but that was also something to consider.
Right. And this year I didn't really bring any, I would say, like basic mugs or oil. I did bring a couple oil bottles that were kind of basic, but I did bring a few spoon rests. But the mugs that I brought were all textured in some fashion. So they were the graffito
Mhm.
ones with a glaze with a brightly colored underglaze that I thought paired well together. So it could have been like pink underglaze with a white glaze, so it looked a little interesting.
Yeah.
And then there was some textured ones that were a little varied texture. If anything of my work, I feel like the varied textured mugs are kind of the standalone thing that are the most different, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, some I kind of maybe I can find some more textures like that to play around with, but um yeah, we'll see. It's a process and something I need to figure out, right? And
Yeah.
what I want to do, how much do I want to push my own work, but it's also how I'm not somebody that's just going to flip a switch and change completely on a dime, because I know
Right.
that
No, definitely not.
the backbone of the business is the bread and butter stuff and things that I'm happy making. So am I pushing too much so that I can gain the respect of my clay peers? That's not necessarily going to help the business.
Mm-hmm.
But also, could I be too focused on the business? And that's where I just become robotic and I just do the things that I know work.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that, over time you have to evolve and grow. And since you know that your business style has to evolve and grow. And since you know that your basic stuff is like a great seller, that textural stuff is a great thing to move forward, because that way you don't necessarily have to change the basic stuff. That can be your staple, but you still have something a little bit exciting for the people that already have everything.
right.
Um, because every year you do need to have something new. Like you have to have something new of
Yeah.
something, you know?
And maybe there's a way to incorporate some of those interesting textures on the mugs into some other forms that I make as well.
Mm-hmm.
That typically I've only worked on straight walled mugs. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, maybe there's a way to incorporate that into bowls, or do some, you know, some people do, like, Andrew Linderman does faceting and then stretching. I know a lot of people that do that kind of texture. So
So like,
there's different
mm,
ways to get texture and, kind of vary it up and then spread it across different forms. So
yeah,
there's
like what
something that
if
draws
you
them together.
did what if you did texture and then threw it back on the wheel and then stretched it out a little bit? Like weird shit like that?
Hmm. Some of that is um, making sure that you can do it at the right stage of clay, because normally I don't do anything until it's leather hard, and by the time it's leather hard, you can't stretch it again. So,
That was not a question of how you do it. It was more
oh,
rhetorical.
yeah, okay. Uh, but that's something to figure out, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
and then how do I make it different so that I don't end up having my stuff look like Andrew's, for instance?
Yeah. Well, and I would love to help you work with like color theory, and if you want to like, you know, I'm fucking down to help you with color theory, and if you want to go through some different color options and like what colors work together, and then you can kind of stick to those, you know.
Mm. And I'm thinking, like, okay, I mean, typically I've only done straight line carvings. Is adding enough variation in carvings enough?
Yeah, what if
Like,
you did like zigzag like down or like
and then am I getting influenced by other people that do sgraffito? For
of
instance,
course you
like,
are. That's what we
so that
do.
like, what's the line? What's different enough? You know? So,
Yours is going to be different regardless, Ryan.
right, I know. But and then I always think, forefront of my mind when I'm producing something is, okay, this came out amazing. Now I need to make 10 of them because I
Mhm.
know they're going to sell well. But also, maybe I don't need to make 10 of these.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Maybe you
do
should
just need
start
to be
treating them maybe you should start treating them as one of a kind. I think that might
I
be the thing.
I mean, I kind of treat the mugs as one of a kind when I do the textures on the mugs, because I
Yeah.
typically only make 10 at a time or 15 at a time, and I play around with the textures every single time. So they all pretty much have the same foot on them with the faceted foot,
Yeah.
but the textures are all different. So,
Yeah.
and then, maybe there's something that I'm not exploring with, I don't know, glaze application. I've always wondered about like spraying glazes. I found combos that I like. Is there a way that I can spray them and find some different effects that,
Hmm.
pair well together and do some layering that I haven't typically stuck to because I dip everything?
Right.
So there's a lot of variation in there. Did you feel like when you were going to the fancy cup stage where I mean you'd been doing them for I feel like to this point you've been doing them for a bit. Do you kind of have that struggle a little bit with, or do you just have fun with it and see where it goes?
I, you know what I do is that at the beginning, I got so stressed out because I was trying to do every single one differently and like be like super unique. And then I realized, Becca, there's like they're all going to be a little bit different, but like especially with the gradients, that was what was hard for me. Like the little pocket of gradient, the colors. So now I do pretty much the same color of gradients, but I do 4 of each when I do them, or
So you
5 of each.
so you do 4 or 5 gradients on different pots, but don't each one have multiple gradients on them?
No, what I'm saying is like if I'm doing a gradient from blue to yellow, I'll do 4 blue to yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll do 4 green to red or whatever. And um so like that element is the same. It's just maybe a different shape and a different color, or not not different color, but a different shape. And then
Mm-hmm.
the next time I don't really have to think as much about what colors need to go with them, because I was like every single time it needs to be a different color. Like
Right.
this one needs to be yellow to red, this one needs to be orange to pink, this one needs,
Yeah, and then
and
your
now
accents are different as well. So some of them you have a straight line that's red, and then
yeah,
the same cup that has the same gradient next to it might have a blue line.
right. And that color is not as important, you know, but like I still try to keep them pretty similar, within the process of what I'm doing. And I think that that's helped because it used to take forever. Like, I almost went the opposite. How you're like, I need to make 10 of these. I was like, I need to make one of these.
Mm-hmm.
like, like it needs to be individual. But then I was
Right.
like, if you want like 1,000 people to buy your things, like you're gonna need to make multiples of the same anyway.
Right.
Um, it's
And you're
fine.
talking about one. It's not like you're numbering your pieces
Right.
where you're making a series of 250 and each one is completely unique and you're
Right.
selling them for $1,000 a piece because this person has
Exactly.
number 6 of 250. So,
Yeah. So that's kind of like what I struggled with, but oh, please don't step on my computer, Lloyd. Okay. Uh, and so, yeah, that was probably what I struggled with the most. And also the inside color. Like, I struggle with the fact that people are like, I like black on the inside, I like white on the inside. And I'm like, well, fuck. So now I just do half half,
mhm.
half white, half black.
So of those
And
4 that have the gradients are the ones that you split, so you do
2 black,
the
2 white,
2.
typically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with the smaller ones, since I'm doing solid colors, I just do 1 white, 1 black in the same color, and the dots on top of it are all the same color too.
Yeah.
So I've definitely like simplified my process significantly since the beginning.
Yeah. Are the ones
Uh,
that are smaller with the solid colors, uh, are those easier than back when you did the first series that were pastel dots everywhere?
oh my god.
Do you know,
I don't know
where you
if
just
the
did a rainbow
dots.
of dots everywhere? Do you remember
I
what I'm
think
talking
that
about?
yeah, I remember. I think that the dots could be easy now because I have the air pen, but um I would have to get like multiple cartridges for the airpen,
Hmm.
but they're not easy and they're very time consuming, the
Right.
dotty ones.
Even
And I
if you
love the
spread
dotty
them out
ones.
more, like it's still hundreds of dots on each piece, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I'd like to go back. I want to make some more of those like dotty ones because I know people love them. Um,
Mhm.
but just like my hand couldn't handle it, you know?
Yeah, it's a
So,
lot.
like, even the last time I like left some that weren't glazed and I like did them all and they looked so cool and I was like, fuck it. And
Yeah.
I reglazed them when they were fully fired.
I mean, the one thing I can see from your work that you could play around with as you're traveling is you're getting access to local clays everywhere. Like you're
I
never
know.
using aardvark, so you can make a complete series of fancy cups that are using those clays. Obviously, you're having to
I
figure them
know.
out, but
That I know. I'm really stoked about that. Like
like that's a
that
great selling
specifically is
point.
really exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, like using the obsidian, like who cares how they turn out? Like they're going to turn out the way they turn out, you know?
yeah.
But like
I mean, your
they're going to
liner's
be
going to be good,
so
but I'm
cool.
sure there's going to be some flops with the way you apply the underglaze, but that's part of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that goes. Um
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of on the edge a little bit as you go through that, but when you get to Seattle, you're going to find some comfortable clays that you're familiar with. So maybe you
mhm.
have a box of new and a box of old that you're used to and make some different ones. Like, I'm curious how I think did you say you did a red clay? The, well, it's the gray clay. Did you
It's
use like
great.
a,
I do want to use a red clay though. I want to see if I can maybe throw what I'd like to do here is just throw my bases for everything and get them bisque, you know? And like get a bunch of different clays and just throw like I'll have to fire the obsidian all the way through, but
it'd be so sweet.
if I get like a bunch of red, if I get red clay and then maybe I do a porcelain and maybe I do, yeah, it would be fucking killer to do a porcelain like frost, they have frost here. And if I just get everything to a point and then bisque them, I can load them up into boxes and then pull them out and work on them as I go and then
Right.
fire them as I go. So it'll be
Are
a big
you
mix.
are you gonna completely wing it when you get to glazing them, or would you choose one of each different clay, like four different ones, and put them in your test kiln and see the different colors interacting on
Oh
them
yeah,
that might be kind of tests,
probably
but they're
the first of the batch, which is the teller of the batch, kind of like, yeah, like this is what I can expect. Yeah, for sure.
right.
Because I'm like, do I need to put a white underglaze under the so what I was thinking about the obsidian is like, should I put a white underglaze under? And then I was like, maybe I should do the gradient and then do another triangle that's white underglaze, and then I can offset a shiny triangle over that so that you can see it on the clay and then on the white, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So did that make sense how I said that?
Kinda.
Okay, so I'll do my gradient, right? And then and then instead of just firing it right then, I'll do another triangle. So you know how there's always a triangle of stroke and coat that's shiny?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be acting as that triangle, but it'll be the base to the stroke and coat. And then when I go to put the stroke and coat on, I can offset it a little. So part of the stroke and coat will be just bare on the clay, and then part of it will be on the white. So it'll show two different colors.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Would
Because
you
in the
ever
past,
would you would you ever try a slip at the Greener state? Oh, I mean, you're standing so much, maybe you wouldn't want to, but
I don't know if the
triangle
slip
out
would work.
a little portion of slip while it's greenware, and then biscuit, and then put your design on top of that slip portion that's white.
I don't think it would work
Hmm.
because I'm sanding it so much. Also, I have to figure out how to get. I had a dream about how to make the cups work on a drill, sanding on a drill
Mm-hmm.
last night. So I think I figured it out, but we'll see.
Yeah, because you're trying to optimize the because you can't use a Giffen grip on the Aspire, right?
You can use the I found out that you can I have to test it still, but I think you can use the Giffen Grip Mini. Joe has one, so I've been kind of working with it. Hate it. Um,
Really?
yeah, it's so flimsy that like my pieces kept getting knocked off center, and also the this is just minor, but like getting the pieces in and out of the little thingy is really hard. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I could see how it would work. Like for sanding, it would be fine, but I'd like to figure out some sort of a chuck instead that I can just put on my drilling because it'll go so much faster. It would go so much faster.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like I saw um do Sean and Valeri, do they put it on a chuck? I feel like they put their finished pots on a chuck and they sand it.
yeah, but all of their pots are the exact same. They're the exact same size. They're the exact same shape.
That's true.
Like they can make a chuck. I can't make one because my fucking rim is smaller than the base.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And they're not all the same, you know? They vary. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm going to
Hmm.
figure it out though. I think I figured out a solution. I think I figured it out.
That is not the inflatable butt plug.
Not the inflatable butt plug. No.
I was just
Okay.
thinking about it again, and I'm like, there's got to be something with a narrower base that is wider that's also textured enough that would hold the piece when you put it over it, and it's like stretches. I mean, that's it sounds like a sex toy basically, but
Yeah. So, okay. So here's my thought as right now, as far as right now. So I'm going to go to the Wally World. No, not Wally World. Home Depot and or Lowe's and get a 2-inch dowel. Okay. Like a
okay.
wooden dowel.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to glue a round sponge to the top of that. Okay. That'll fit right on the bottom of a piece. And then, like, if you put it in, it'll fit on the inside bottom. And
Mhm.
then I have to figure out how to make some sort of a coned feature on the outside of the dowel that's um, fits both sizes, unless I can make two that fits both sizes so that um, when it goes on, it kind of like nestles on it and it like fits the frame of the
Yeah.
rim.
You kind of need like a
So,
firm sponge or like a firm cushion.
right. So at first I was like maybe quilt batting the inside of quilt, and then I could layer it in so that every time you put it on, it just like kind of puffed out a little bit. And then Marjorie was like, "What about those flower frog chucky things, like the green ones, the foamy green, where like you could put it on and it might just like nestle in?" So yeah, that's where I'm
Hmm.
at right now. And I'm gonna have to drill a hole into the dowel and then sacrifice some sort of a drill bit that hooks into my drill because I have the quick release drill. So I'm gonna have to shove that drill bit in and glue it in so it stays.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think this one will work. There's been a few iterations of this in a
And then
different
what do you
life,
do?
but
You are you gonna mount the drill somewhere?
I'm gonna have to. I think I'll have to get like a C clamp and I can just like push the on button and then use one hand. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. You almost wish you could put one of those foot pedals, like for
Yeah.
the pump that you can hook up to it and like on and off with
Yeah.
your foot.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing. I mean, you could plug if you use a corded drill, cord drill to the foot plug,
Oh, and leave it on all the time. I could just get like a cheap drill.
and then you just have a mounted thing that's always in the spot and it's always turned on. Like the nozzle is always at, I don't know, maybe you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
run it full
yeah.
speed, but
And then I could
I
just use
mean
the foot pedal
I mean that would basically go at full speed, but if you change it between the 1 and 2 setting where it's like super fast versus,
or super
you
slower.
know, medium speed or whatever, then
That's a
you may.
great idea. And I have the foot pedal at home in Indiana. So that's a future iteration. Once
Hmm.
this gets figured out, that will be.
Yeah, because you're probably going to need two hands to control the pot, anyways, and sand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got on a tangent about your fancy cups and solutioning, but okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I don't. Do you feel that any at all with making the earrings, or you're just playing around and just making the different designs and whatever colors come to your mind, you try them out?
No, I have the same set of colors. Like I have a specific set of colors that I
Okay.
use.
And is that
Um,
mostly by what looks good with the clay that it's paired with?
no, it's just the colors of the rainbow.
Okay. And you're
Red,
not
orange,
mixing
yellow, green.
colors generally.
I only have one color that I mix, and that's because I couldn't find like a good teal that I liked, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Speedball's got a okay teal. I don't know if you saw the speedball teal, but
Dell was giving me such shit for not using speedball. And I was like, I'm not opposed to speedball, but Mako's half the price. So like and I know speedball would probably give it to me for free, but I if they even wanted me as a sponsor, but like,
hmm
you know,
yeah.
I,
I mean, once you find something that works for you and you like the look of it, then kind of go
yeah.
for it.
Like I'm not at all opposed to any of the underglazes really when they're by themselves. I think they're all fine.
Yeah.
It's just
You're
like for
mostly you're
me,
mostly talking about the price more so
yeah, for me,
than the
what's the most
quality,
affordable?
right?
Yeah, and I like the quality. I mean, the quality matches is almost above the price. Like I like the quality just as good as Amico's, and it's half the price. So we're good. Now I would need to water it down and do Darvan, just like you were talking about, because. But what's nice is that I can kind of like take it out of the bottle if I need to, and I just water it down a little bit. But
Hmm.
yeah. They
Yeah.
do have more yellows than anybody else, so I will give them that.
Who does?
Um, Speedball.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they got some good yellow options.
Yeah,
They got a lot of purple
yellow.
options too.
Yeah, lots of purple. I know. I think I am gonna buy a purple because I only have like a light purple, and I'd like to get a darker purple. So,
Yeah.
I feel like yellow is the forgotten color in the pottery world. Like, bye.
I would like a
Yeah,
pat. I was talking with Speedball a while ago, talking about I would love some pastel-y kind of options.
that
Like
would
a
be
pastel
amazing.
yellow would be nice.
Yeah,
They've already got kind of a pastel purple, but
yeah.
I feel like some pastels would be good.
A
And you
pastel
could
green
accomplish
would be
some of that
nice.
with white. I'm sure you could add white to some and make them
Yeah.
pastel-y.
Like, just give us Easter. Like, just give us fucking Easter. Like,
Pastel orange. Ooh.
mm,
I,
love a good
actually, there's
pastel
kind
orange.
of some pastel-y orange. There's melon and peach, so that's kind of
Yeah,
melon's closer to pastel, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I get when we're talking about the color variations and the adding, I just feel like I would get frozen, when I get that color on my brush and I'm so removed from it now because I just tell Erica, "Hey, apply two of these that color, two of these that color," that I would feel so frozen to get out multiple colors and just start going at it.
Maybe you do need to do that and like
And I'm
unfreeze yourself.
and I don't know, I'm just like not painterly, so I don't understand the mixing part of it as
It's all
much.
physics. It's all like, okay, Ryan, I will come and do a color theory class with you because it's not painterly. It is mathematical, okay? Mathematical, okay? Like
It's the
color
whole
theory,
complementary things across from it, triadic.
right? Like color theory is it's a science. It's not just like, oh, this looks nice. It's a science. And that you're good at that. You're
Yeah.
going to be good at this.
I mean, I can also kind of tell, like, hey, these colors look good together, and these look very
Yeah.
stark and too much.
I have full faith in you. I love this.
So,
I love that you're
I,
like
I, I think, I think I'm
willing
just
to
like
branch out a
and I'm
little.
reluctant with like the great. Like I see you do gradients and stuff. Like I don't want to get in the gradient game, but
No.
maybe there's some application I can figure out, and then I can hide it with the carving. So
Yeah.
where they meet, I can carve, so you
Yeah.
don't see it, and then it's just like, hey, there's the next color.
Or maybe you don't care as much about the lines. Like maybe you pick two colors and you just flop them on and they work well together, but you don't have to gradiate them. You don't have to hide the lines. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what if you do a blue and a light green and you just like flop it on, then you don't have to worry about it because those colors work well together so they can overlap each other wherever they want,
Mm-hmm. And then
you know?
there's the carving too. I could, initially I was like, okay, well, I would start a certain type of carving technique on one color and then I would change it on the other color, but it might make it more interesting if they overlap and
Yeah.
it's like the carving is its own layer that is
Yeah.
organized in a certain pattern that's not consistent. And then you've got the color that's not consistent. So that's a
Yeah.
second layer that's interesting. And then you've got the glaze that's applied, and maybe the glaze is more of a rest for the eyes so that you can look at the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Okay.
And
And I
remember that this is like a trial and error type of thing. So like document it, show people that you're messing up, you're trying, because that's a lot of it, you know?
uh-huh.
That's a lot of what sells those type of pieces is that they're like, "Oh, I saw him figure that out," you know?
Hmm. And a lot of the figuring out too is just understanding how the colors work because some of the besides the color theory part of it, the actual techniques of applying them,
Yeah.
some of the, talking with Dill about the Darvan and thinning it out and getting it where it's nice and painterly so it applies really well. There might be certain colors that I have to stay away from and I can't pair well because I'm not as confident in the way the end result of that underglaze is
Mhm.
going to sit on a pot. And I
Yeah.
don't want to potentially ruin it because I use that color. So I just avoid it. But now, as I'm getting more understanding about how to apply it with thinning it out and that it doesn't really change the I'm not risking as much by thinning it out. I'm actually improving the end result. So, maybe I get more confident in it so I can experiment more.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, I definitely think you should dedicate like I said, a day a week or maybe 4 hours a week to
Yeah.
just futzing around.
Yeah. I'm like lucky. I'm happy these days if I get a day a week dedicated to the studio by itself. So, a day
I
a
know.
week would be, hey, you remember that 6-hour day that you had in the studio? You got to dedicate that to exploring. But yeah, maybe it's every Wednesday before we podcast. You know,
Yeah. But it's important too. Don't think of it as like I think this goes for everybody. Don't think of exploration as a vacation of sorts, you know? It is part of your job
hmm
to explore new things. So it's not when you explore, you're not like having 20 minutes to myself. No, that is part of your job. It is something that you need to do to evolve as an artist. And so it's not a luxury, as you will. It is a
hmm
necessity. So remember that.
yeah, and some of those explorations that I've done in the past would have been in my when I used to teach the advanced students at Baker Hunt. I don't do that
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
So I haven't dedicated that time and given myself that focus to prioritize it. So
Yeah.
you just have to figure out how to prioritize it. And yeah, I don't know. It's challenging as well as exciting and unknown. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I would love like whenever I go in there, I'm very intentional about what I'm making because I want that thing to be finished and
Results, yeah.
have results. So I rarely have flops in the studio that I just throw away. I don't try to waste any time that I'm in the studio. So I'm making something that will become a finished product. And
Yeah.
even if it has a little bump or something that messes up in there, I try to salvage it and make it something that's usable. Makes it a little bit unique. Somebody's going to like this thing. I'm not taking it so seriously that I'm going to completely scrap something unless it collapses or whatnot. But, but yeah, it's tough to make it a priority and see it as not. I don't see it as I'm taking it easy or anything. It's just
Right. It's just
it's
different.
new and unknown, and I don't know where it's going, and I don't have a. I'm not a sketcher, so I don't sketch things, and I'm like, this is what I want to do, and I kind
God,
of
neither am I.
think on the wheel. I like seeing Dell's sketchbooks, and they're so detailed, and I'm sure he's just doing it. He was talking about he was traveling a lot for the army and all that. He's on planes. He doesn't have access to a computer, so he has to make do with what he's got. So he's got a sketchbook and he sketches, and he was a graphic designer. So, sketching was part of the process for him.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe sketching's not in my future. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but
A
I
lot
don't
of
know.
people aren't sketchers, and that's fine, by the way,
Yeah. And then I
to
look at
everybody
other
else out there.
but then I can look at other people's work and see how they did something and all the colors they use and how did they get to that point of deciding what to put on here and how to put it together. And um yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think seeing some of the other people's work is definitely a good way to spark some inspiration.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting and a challenge. And then I don't know. I also need to make sure that I'm not doing it for the sake of documentation and sharing it on Instagram too.
Yeah, for yourself.
Like that shouldn't be the first and foremost. Like, okay, I'm doing this new thing. I have to document every single thing I'm doing right now because otherwise you're not focused on just the making part. You're worried
Yeah.
about the angle of it and am I gonna, you know, are people gonna understand what I'm doing? Like I don't even understand what I'm doing yet. So
Yeah.
what about the selling to regular people versus other potters? Do you feel like that holds any weight to yourself of pride or
I don't know.
respect among peers? I feel like there's a level of that,
Maybe. Yeah. I
but
feel more pride when I sell a piece to a regular person than I do to another potter.
mhm.
Because if somebody can pick up my piece and know nothing about pottery and buy it for $100, then I feel like I totally won the fucking lottery, you know? But if somebody picks up my piece and like wants to know my process and like all the things, and once they learn it, they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so gonna buy this piece." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, okay. I think that, not to say that I'm not diminishing the other potters that buy my pieces, but I was talking to John again, and he was saying we need to figure out how to sell not just to potters. You know, you need to sell your pieces to people because potters are eventually going to run out.
Mhm. I feel like it's a
Like,
numbers game in my mind. It's a there's way more non-potters than there are potters, as well as
yeah,
the people that have more money are generally non-potters than potters,
yeah,
and then the people that are going. I was going to say the people that appreciate your work more because they don't have as big of a collection are non-potters, but I don't know. That could go either way, I guess.
that could go either way for sure. But yeah, I mean, like, I genuinely like, especially at a conference like this, like, they buy your piece because they like you, or they buy your piece because it's
Mhm.
cool. But like when you're at a show and some random ass person like picks it up and is like, "This is fucking dope. I'm gonna buy this, and they don't even know who you are. I'm like, yeah,
I feel like that. It, I don't know. I don't know. I go either way there because if you're at a conference and you think people know you better and they don't buy your stuff, then like to me, I was like, I thought people liked it, but it could just be the crowd or it could be
yeah,
the work as a whole, and it doesn't reflect on their opinion of me necessarily. Whereas,
yeah,
like, I would hope that people like me enough that they would buy it when they know me, more so
yeah,
than just a Joe Schmo that sees me at a show and thinks my mug is really cool. Because there's no expectation, or I have
yeah,
less input into their decision of buying it when it's just an average Joe at a show that
yeah.
doesn't know me.
Well, it
Like it
was you had to,
the work kind of speaks for itself a little bit more, and it's the work selling itself as well as me talking to them. So they could have some
yeah,
understanding of like, oh, I like the way you talk about your work or who you are or whatever.
yeah. I think that definitely, as far as this show goes, there was a couple things too. Like there was another presenter who was presenting on Sunday, and she was like, I don't know if people are gonna buy my stuff, and like, cause barely anything moved, and we were like, no, no, no. When you have your presentation, they're gonna see what you do, and then they're gonna go out to your table and buy shit. And
Hmm.
you didn't have that. You didn't have that because their tables weren't open on Friday. So you didn't
True.
have the ability for somebody to do that like split second, oh my god, I really loved what he said. I'm going to go
Uh-huh.
out and buy it.
As
You
well as
know?
there's some people that didn't even see the presentation because it was on Friday afternoon
Right.
because they got there
So,
Saturday, and some people were like, "Oh, I missed it. I couldn't be there to see it, and I wish I
and
did."
and also some people were like, I want to buy a piece, and then they saw a Carol Long piece, bought $500 piece, and were like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's all.
Right, right. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but
A lot of
yeah, it
variables.
doesn't. Yeah, and there's I don't know. I wonder if I felt the same thing last year. Maybe because I had, I don't know. I didn't think I had as much expectation last year
Yeah.
because I was so busy. I didn't have time to think about the sales of the pots,
Yeah.
but I had more time to think about it and see it. And last year we were so busy because you did a presentation, I did a presentation, and then we did a presentation together because somebody couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So we were so busy all of the days that I was focused elsewhere. So maybe it was a little bit of brain racing, and but it
Do you
didn't
remember how
diminish.
much you made last year?
I think I made 400 last year.
Okay.
Kind of close, but um I brought a lot more stuff too last year.
Yeah.
But I had to ship everything this time, and I think you brought everything in person last year
Yeah.
and drove it there, drove it back kind of thing.
We kind of had a FUPAR of a situation.
Uh-huh.
That's wrong. That was the wrong word, but I don't care.
Foo bar.
A FUBAR?
Fucked up beyond all recognition.
Hmm.
Have you ever heard that?
You know what? I have. And I didn't know that's what it meant, but I was just kind of using it as a verb. And but anyway, I like was supposed to go up to Louisville and like get his stuff, and I didn't because
That's
I
all right.
didn't end up going back because it was going to cost me a shit ton of money. And so he just shipped it to me, and so it was different. And
Uh-huh.
so yeah, there was a whole thing. We should wrap up pretty soon because it's getting pretty chilly in here.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we're getting close to 2 hours. So, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting discussion point, and I chatted with Kurt briefly on Instagram, similar to that, and I was just asking him, do you care more or hold more weight to your customer's opinion of your work versus other peers' opinion of your work.
What did he say?
And it kind of overlaps. He was like, every day, all day, I would much rather have customers appreciate and buy my work than having, making my work for peers to like and
Yeah,
respect,
I agree.
because, you know, your business needs to be maintained by people buying your work. So,
Yeah,
if people like your work and they think it's cool, but they're not spending money on it, how much weight does that hold?
yeah,
And, is that going to make you happy? Or then you're putting all your happiness in other people's appreciation of you and liking you, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, sure, you still want to be likable, but, are you making the work, for the praise? And then what if you don't
Right.
get that praise? What happens,
And like it should be noted that you make more money selling pots as a side gig than some people do full time by themselves. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that you have to take that into consideration. Just because one aspect doesn't work because the other aspect works so well.
Right.
Like,
Am
yeah,
I
you
being
could get bummed
greedy?
out a
I'm
little
I'm
bit.
getting greedy here.
You're not getting greedy. That's not, no, you're not getting greedy. I
Not
think it's
not
an,
not money greedy. I'm getting greedy and like wanting all of it to work out.
yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe, but like, yeah, I mean, like, you can't expect everything to be a slam dunk, you know?
Right.
And, and I think that the fact that you have, I mean, you should always strive to be better, but the fact that you have such a successful business already is way more important than some artist coming and not being able to sell their stuff at a show, but being able to sell $2,000 to you know, to like a bunch of different potters. Like, that's really important. You are the long term, we are the short term. Right? Like, I mean, I'm not, but like, but yeah, like some of those people in there may not sell well at shows. They may only sell online and they couldn't go to a show and sell because people would look at it and be like, no,
But also,
this is too expensive.
I think for like, whereas I'm taking away, I need to experiment more and expand my making process more. Some
Yeah.
people could be saying, "Oh, these people appreciate my work that maybe I was going to be done with because I don't sell it well enough to the
Yeah.
average customer." And this invigorated and supported that that the work is actually valued and it's something that's wanted,
Yeah.
and that gives people, whereas I'm a little bummed out and I'm getting some insights of what I want to do going forward and how I want to experiment and expand my own making. Some people are like, hey, you know maybe I should experiment more with this thing, or
Right.
push this
Totally.
a little bit more. Or I was talking with Raquel at her talk, and about slip, and I was giving her a bunch of ideas, and I don't know if I was annoying the piss out of her, or if
No,
it was
I
just
think
good.
that she was very grateful.
It was just a lot of thoughtful back and forth of, I started working with some black slip and blue slips and different colors, and I'm like, I could totally see your business booming by all the different options you have on the table now
Yeah.
that you have this skill set of decoration like
Yeah.
nailed down. Just like, you or me might have the skill set of wheel throwing nailed down.
Yeah.
She has this
Yeah.
back end skill set of cake decorating and using slip and getting it the right consistency that she can really expand with color and figure out what options are on the table for her.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you have to go to conferences to get that. And
Yep.
whether you stumble into it or you get a question at the talk and you're like, hey, have you experimented with this or done this? And you're like, no, I haven't. Now I've got some things to
Yeah.
go back home and experiment with. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, net positive for the conference. Got some good
Mhm.
takeaways. Maybe we didn't learn all the techniques from other people of their demonstrations, but I think we both went away with something to get us invigorated and
Totally.
excited for what we're gonna go forward with. And
Yeah.
hopefully we get that out of Nsika too. I think the socialization part of it is a big portion that you take away and
Yeah.
build new friendships, but also reflect on your own work and
Yeah.
business and stuff like that. That hopefully you can evolve. So, alrighty. Any last words?
My back hurts.
I can tell you're standing up, hunched over. I don't know. Your video's been in and out this whole time, so I don't really know. But
Oh, has it?
yes,
Well, at least the sound has been in.
the sound has
um,
been fucking mint.
nice. Yeah, no, I am sitting on this really bad chair, and if anybody has a recommendation for like a low stool that folds up, please send it my way because this is not going to work out. Um,
What about those wheel chairs that are like I have the speedball wheel chair that's like seated, but it's tilted forward and stuff? That's
no,
probably kind of small though,
I want something that folds up so I can like move it out of the way.
huh? But has a significant cushion so that your ass is not killing you from sitting on it.
Or maybe not even a significant cushion, but at least a comfortable seat. Like I was thinking those
Huh.
ones that have the seats that have the fabric between them that you can sit in, but I don't know if that'll work. That's why I'm thinking if I can get a hammock, if I can get a hammock set up in here and I could just sit in a hammock chair. I have the hammock. I got it for $5.
$5 hammock. That's gonna be a fucking great hammock.
Hey, I was looking at the exact same hammock on Amazon for 20. Let me show you. Ah, you know what? I can't get to it.
You need to
But
like mount a swing to your ceiling.
yes, that's what I need to do. Um, but here we are.
you're just
You're not wrong.
you're just fucking swinging away in there.
Yep, that's what I
Your
need to
audio's going
do.
in and out. Oh, she's just swinging. Don't worry about it.
I'm just swinging. The
Jeez.
last week when we were just doing audio, I stood fully up. I stood up while we were recording because you couldn't see me, and so I was like, I'm just gonna stand.
Maybe you can
Yeah,
elevate your computer and then stand up.
probably. That might be what I'm gonna have to do next week.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure out with the evolution of this chair
Yes.
situation, and you will keep us posted.
Yes.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
everybody for listening. Thanks to L&L for
Thanks.
sponsoring us, and
Yay.
we'll catch you all next time. Looking forward to Nsika.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Bye.